Welcome back to the Anarchy Analysis Prediction Series. We're live for the first time here in summer playoffs. Last week, it started a day earlier. This week, we're going through to Tuesday. All the games going to be covered here in this video, as well as on Twitter like last weekend. We've got 3 games today, including our matchup of the week. So without further ado, let's get into said matchup. So we're immediately getting into the matchup of the week. MDK Koi taking on Carmine Corp. And this is an interesting one because it's the first time we're actually going to be covering Carmine Corp in playoffs. We're going to see a full best of 3 from this team where we can see adaptations, drafting, as well as the whole actual playstyle from this comp. Now, we've kind of held off from covering Carmine Corp since week 1 of summer, where we looked at their initial changes. Now, obviously, since that time, which we covered a lot, they've made drastic improvements to their style, and the cohesion that's being shown is very, very good. As for the other side of things, you've got MDK, the team that squeaks into playoffs this past 2 splits, and they're, to be honest, getting to the form that we know and love from them in playoffs. It's weird, once this time of year comes along, they just turn it up, and MDK versus KC is an interesting, debacle, interesting brawl, because it's 2 squads that are in need of all the points they can get. Carmine Corp need to finish top 3 in order to make it any further this year, whereas MDK, they're kind of sitting quite nicely coming into this one, but every point just means that if you finish first in summer, you guarantee a world spot. That is what these teams are fighting for here. And I think that when we look at the actual matchup, the brawl that we're going to see, you look at the mid lane matchup for Scowy versus, what is his name? Vladdy. There you go. You've got 2 very young, very new mid laners to the league that are finding their footing, and I think that this split in particular have kind of been new leases of life, or very strong points for these 2 rosters, and I really do like how they're playing. On the other side of things, you got top lane matchup Kana versus Merwin. It seems to be a matchup that will turn out very interesting picks that Merwin can bring out. We've already started to see some of them. I think Kana is one of those players who can bring out the carries that counter what Merwin can do, so it's always a good matchup. We've got 3 games possibly of it, and I'm really looking forward to it. So let's lock in my prediction right now. I think we're going to see an MDK win 2-1. All 3 games, MDK on the front foot and winning the game. Let's go with our next matchup. It's Giant X taking on Team Heretics. Both teams come in with some surprising good things in week 1 of playoffs. Giant X almost did the unthinkable in upsetting Fnatic, but it was never meant to be, as Fnatic obviously did Fnatic things and turned it around. As for their opponents, Team Heretics showed up, did incredibly well in their opening series, and they beat them pretty easily. And they ended up here after losing their next one. But hey, who cares? It's an interesting matchup. Giant X, Team Heretics, is they're quite evenly matched in terms of how they've done this split in a regular season. But hey, this is playoffs, and certain players step up during this period. One of which has actually been Yankos and Wonder on Team Heretics side of things. looking like their old G2 2019 form, where they're just demolishing their opponents and being very hard to stop, and I like that for this Heretic side, which kind of leads me to believe that they will win this series 2-1. A lot of series that I think are close, I'm going for 2-1. This one is one of those ones where I think maybe it's a 2-0, but nah. Gotta go safe, play it safe with the 2-1 to Heretics. I think that overall, Giant X are actually performing quite well in the fact that Patrick is actually looking and hunting for people to kill and trying to get this team over the line, but it's just not enough at this stage of the split or season to be doing that, and realistically it's putting his team sometimes maybe in a situation where they don't want to be, and I think that Heretics will look to capitalize on that style and punish and get the dubs. And lastly, it's Fnatic G2, the split finisher. Usually, as the last split ended in a G2 Fnatic final, it's coming earlier, and it's nice to see in the best of threes, I believe it still is. The big thing about this one is G2 have been unstoppable all year. No one takes a trophy off G2 is the tagline. But Fnatic, I think that they had a bit of a struggle in their opening game of playoffs. Second one, a lot cleaner, a lot better for them. I do have to say, after we watched G2 decimate their opponents in our matchup of the week, this series will be very interesting. I think the draft it's just going to be blown wide open. It's G2, they somehow pull out the wackiest of picks, go and lose by 5k, and then win late game, as we somehow saw in a couple of their games last weekend, or the 2 games. And yeah, I think that Fnatic are the sort of team to come in with a game plan against G2 and try and stick to it and win, whereas other teams that faced off against G2 just get the unpredictable randomness thrown at them, and G2 punish. Simple as that. Anyway, what do I think the result will be? 2-1. It's a close one. These two teams have been neck and neck all year long. Fnatic finally doing the unthinkable and dethroning G2 from the regular season crown. And I think that this time, this series, it's a 2-1 to G2. I think Caps is on another level right now. The issue is, if Fnatic come in with a heavy target of Caps' pool in removing all the AD picks, which are so strong right now, and if Fnatic are on blue side, what can Caps bring to the table? That is my question, because if Triss gets removed, Corki picked by Humanoid, mid lane AD picks, unless you're going down the Yasuo Yone route, is quite pinched. And I think G2's style, I think they'll have practice stuff that has AP mids, but if Fnatic pinch the pool right, it's going to be very hard for G2 to really do anything. And that is what I want to see, especially coming into a best of 3 to advance to playoff finals, I believe. So it might actually be a best of 5, so then 3-1. That's my prediction if it's best of 5. I haven't checked. I'm not bothering to check. And that's how we're ending this. If you've enjoyed this, leave a like down below. Subscribe if you're new and if you want to. Hopefully they don't do anything silly with how the matches will be played out. I'll be back on Wednesday to do the live stream, because it's just impossible not to be doing it that late because of how many games that happen during this week of League of Legends. Don't want to miss it. I'll be watching along. Hopefully you guys will. Leave your predictions down in the comments as well. See you guys later. Peace out.
never break, always fight, never quit, do it right, play the game, win it life, have no shame, there's no time, feel the pain, live the grind, I could change, in my mind, pick a lane, commit and climb, the only way to win it life, I never miss, that's fact, taking big swings.